My name is Tracy and I am a werewolf trying to set up a new pack, or a group for werewolves to meet in secret once a month for a feast to deal with the sickness. You see, we are not like traditional werewolves. The sickness is our shared dark desire to eat the bodies of the dead. It disgusts us, but we have to sate this dark hunger before it drives us mad. Our number one rule is do not murder. We must never murder anybody to appease this dark hunger. We are not mindless evil monsters, but merely normal people afflicted with a terrible curse. The leaders of packs are called alphas. This was my first time being a leader of anything. Our previous pack failed. Richard, the former pack leader, instructed me to ask another former member, Silver, for advice. Richard's adopted daughter Silver could be dangerous and unpredictable, but she knew a lot about other werewolves and werewolf hunters. After what happened to our previous pack, she was disillusioned and wanted no part in running the group. Fortunately, she still met up with us once a month. Silver gave me a list naming pack leaders around the country, written by Richard. His list detailed 5 names of people, where they live, their jobs, and their titles. She suggested I start with Mark, several miles from our own town of Specure in the town of Blackstone. Silver thought he could help me come up with ideas to improve our pack. I agreed. Blackstone, a city centuries old, the same city Richard ran away from years ago. He had accidentally killed the daughter of a werewolf hunter there. I hoped I would not face a similar fate. I had to find Mark, the Duke of Blackstone. I never met nobility before, not even the council in my hometown of Specure. The fact that a noble could secretly be a werewolf was a surprise, as most of us were middle class or lower. Silver made arrangements. She sent messenger birds ahead to inform Mark that I was coming. I had to get ready. I practiced my honorifics and etiquette, and Silver actually helped me pick out some nice clothes. Before I left, I asked Silver one last time if she wanted to come. She refused, saying that she was simply disinterested in that kind of life. I hopped on a boat from Specure to Blackstone. There were other people on the boat with me, some upper class and some middle class, like me. We arrived in the port of Blackstone at night. As I stepped onto land, a woman in her 20s greeted me. She had a scar under her left eye. She asked if I was Lady Tracy, and I said yes. She introduced herself as Cassandra, the Duke's Chamberlain, and asked me to follow her. Inside, Cassandra introduced me to the Duke of Blackstone, Mark of House Castelli, and the second cousin of Empress Celine. He was a handsome man in his mid-40s with auburn hair and a gentle air of charisma. I said, "It is a pleasure to meet you, Your Grace," and bowed with respect. He was pleased to see me. He explained that he had to dismiss his guards to have this talk with me, but he was glad he did. He told me that it was a pleasure to meet me, but I had unfortunately come at a difficult time. The Duchess of Lontano, sister of the Empress, had been visiting Blackstone, but was found murdered in her guest house. All the nobles in the empire blamed him. He dismissed them as nuisances. I apologized, but he told me not to, vowing that he would hang the killer. I told him that I was a fellow pack leader, and I had come to his court to learn how to be a better alpha. With modesty, he said his pack had only 3 members, Cassandra, Isabella, and him. Only 3? That was odd, I thought. I asked him if perhaps he could give me a tour of his pack's feast hall. He said he would tell me all about it tomorrow morning and motioned Cassandra to come close. Mark told Cassandra to lead me to my sleeping quarters. He said that I was an honoured guest here and I'll be treated like a visiting nobility. He hoped I enjoyed my stay here. I was so excited. To be a royal, the party, the food, the great clothes, it was exciting. The next morning, Mark and I had breakfast inside the keep's banquet hall. It was a sumptuous feast. There were lots to drink with plates and plates of food. Though there were only 2 of us. Wouldn't it all go to waste? I dismissed that thought. Mark noted the irony that those without dark hunger can still enjoy cooked beef and wine. He noticed I had something on my mind and asked me what the matter was. I said nothing, asking instead about the history of his pack and if I could visit where they had their feasts. He explained that it was not possible for me to see it yet. He had to dismiss his guards this morning and last night to avoid spies. He did reveal everyone in the pack could feast in private under his legal protection. Being a werewolf was illegal after all. The Duke revealed that Richard and he had tried to form a group like this a long time ago, before Richard was forced to leave. I grew a little sad as he mentioned Richard's name. He apologized for bringing it up. I dismissed it and told him it was fine. In an attempt to comfort me, he said he considered me an equal. Even though he was royal by birth, as alphas we were both royalty for werewolves. I never thought of that. Was there a thing as royalty for those with the sickness? Yes, there was some sort of hierarchy, but never a distinct ruling class. He asked me to stop worrying so much and to join him tomorrow evening for his soiree. He was entertaining a number of guests. He wanted me to attend and I agreed. Mark was ecstatic. He got up and said he had to make arrangements for the party with his courtiers. He said he would arrange a tailor-made outfit for me, fit for werewolf royalty. Mark reaffirmed that he considered me akin to nobility and very beautiful, and I was to have full privileges of a visiting noble. I could ask for whatever I wanted and go wherever I pleased. I thanked him. He told me to enjoy the rest of the meal and left, but I no longer felt like eating. I decided to explore the town of Blackstone. Perhaps walking would make me feel better. It was only marginally bigger than my hometown of Specchio. The town was cold, both in temperature and the people's attitude, it seems. The only place with any warmth, literal or otherwise, was the pub. The woman who served me smelled like a werewolf. It was one way that our kind could find each other. I asked if her name was Isabella. She confirmed her name was Isabella. I asked her what was wrong and if she would like to talk in private. She politely refused, saying that nothing was wrong. She was very busy. Perhaps I would like to see the sights of Blackstone instead. She gave me a bottle of an expensive almond wine on the house, thanking me for my concern. I drank alone. Twice now I got the silent treatment from members of Mark's pack. I began to realize having full access like a noble didn't automatically give me an audience with everyone. Maybe being upper class wasn't that great after all. Disappointed, I heeded Isabella's words and walked the streets of Blackstone. I arrived in the upper class area of town. I spotted a large abandoned building, the guest house of the late Duchess of Lontano. She was murdered, right? There were no guards posted here, but even if there was, I could theoretically order them to leave. The Duke did give me privileges of a noble after all. My curiosity got the better of me and I stepped inside. The guest house was empty. There were no rugs or paintings decorating the place. It seemed all evidence of the Duchess's murder was wiped clean. Not even a spot of dried blood. I could, however, smell the remnants of a dead body that used to lay here. A new crime scene was cleaned up afterwards, but this level of cleanliness was ridiculous. I went upstairs to see what I could find. No closets, shelves, or places to store jewelry. There was nothing left here anymore, so I left in confusion. To clear my mind, I walked around the keep and found Cassandra. She was still in a low mood and was drinking. I asked her what was wrong. She told me nothing was wrong. I pressed for answers. This time she said since the Duke and I were werewolf royalty, I would not understand her problems. She will get in trouble if His Grace found her talking to me. I looked into her eyes and I said she could trust me. I wouldn't tell anyone. I keep my secrets. Believe me. Asked Michael. She broke down and confessed that everything was a lie. She and Isabella were scared. Gingerly, I asked for details. She revealed that Mark made them do things. Violent things. Things where he would get them to undress each other, and I stopped her. I began to understand where this was going. She said that if they went to the authorities for help, Mark promised that he would not legally protect them anymore and have them thrown into jail. Or worse. They were trapped. They had to do whatever disgusting and painful thing he said. This happened at every feast and had been for many years. Damn it! Alphas are meant to help their werewolves, and Mark had turned his pack into his private little playground. That bastard. I told Cassandra I believed her. Mark will not get away with this. I reiterated that I would not tell a soul and prove that not all alphas are like Mark. Pack alphas aren't supposed to do this. We are meant to help our friends, not use them. Real friends protect each other. I tried as best I could, but I could not convince her that Mark was a scoundrel. Cassandra told me that she wanted to be left alone, and I obliged. Later that night, I prepared to sleep, but I just couldn't. Mark had betrayed my trust and his fellow werewolves. He was still royalty, so I had to tread carefully. I couldn't make a move yet. What was I supposed to do? I looked at my bed. True to his word, Mark had arranged a tailor-made outfit for me. That was fast, even for a duke. I'm not sure that I got a wink of sleep that night. It was the night of Mark's soiree. It was held inside Blackstone Keep, and it was a mixture of both upper and middle class. Some guests wore masks. Everyone felt comfortable enough to mingle. Servants gave out drinks. I would have enjoyed myself if I didn't know what I knew. Cassandra and Isabella were there. I felt guilty even though I had no hand in what Mark did. Mark told me to relax and to have fun, but I was not in the mood. I lied, saying that I wasn't feeling that well, mentioning the cheese platter. Mark relented. He told me that he was finally going to show me where his pack had their feasts, to stop me from complaining about it constantly. Intrigued for a moment, I asked him to lead on. He led me into the castle's wine cellar. A wine cellar? I should have guessed that this is where a noble would satisfy the sickness. The Duke said he had imported wines from throughout the Empire. The vintage 82 was his favourite, a gift from his parents. I noticed the torture rack by the corner. Bastard. Excitedly, Mark said this is where he would prepare the body and the wine for the monthly feasts his pack has. As a duke, he was free to collect bodies from the morgue without too many questions being asked. I remembered what Cass told me, what really went on down here. I averted his gaze. He knew something was up with me. He was no fool. He asked me outright. He asked me why I wasn't wearing the outfit he got for me. I said something to the tune that it didn't fit. Maybe it was the wine talking, but I said I knew his deep dark secret. Why he never allowed me to go to his pack's feasts. Mockingly, he said he had no idea what I was talking about. There was no turning back for me now. I told him I would go to the authorities on his torturing of his subjects. Smiling, he said they would never believe someone from the middle class like me. I answered Her Majesty the Empress might. I also figured out that he had the Duchess killed. He called my bluff. Trembling, I said I knew my tailor-made outfit was very upper class, something a Duchess would wear. Way too expensive for even the highest of nobility to afford. No, the garment was royalty. Silver taught me about the fashions of the upper class quite well. His voice had lost all charm and pretense. He was furious. Mark said I knew nothing about the Duchess. He revealed he killed her himself because she received land that was rightfully his. He served their Empress faithfully for decades, only to have arable land given to the Duchess as an act of nepotism. Mark then tried to attack me. I had no time to react. Suddenly, Mark recoiled in pain. Cassandra had snuck up behind him and shoved a dagger in his back. Cassandra said to him that real friends protect each other. Mark lay on the floor in a pool of his own blood, dead. I was glad Cassandra saved me, but I told her that we had to get rid of the body. I told her to turn around while I ate Mark's corpse. He deserved less, but I didn't want a guard to spot us disposing the body into the Blackstone River. She said no, she was going to help me consume the body. We ate in silence. Cassandra volunteered to save some for her friend Isabella, but burned Mark's heart in a fire. I told her werewolves don't normally save body parts, but in this case, it was somewhat acceptable. I theorized that since everyone was so busy at the soiree, they would not know that the Duke had gone missing. In any case, we had to leave. A royal had just been killed, and we didn't want any suspicion laid on us. My time pretending to be a royal was over. That was a month ago. The newspapers reported Mark's death, saying he disappeared under mysterious circumstances in one of his lavish parties. Empress Selene appointed one of her cousins as the new Duchess of Blackstone. Isabella decided to stay in Blackstone and started a new pack. She wasn't really a member of the court, just a middle-class woman who got tricked by Mark's trusting nature. I wished her well, and we promised to stay in contact. Cassandra had came home to speculate with me. She was still a little broken, but I vowed to help her. Silver apologized for not knowing Mark's true nature. I told her not to worry about it. There was no way she could have known. Silver told of how she would have killed Mark had she been there, but at least I had the opportunity to learn something. I said that yes, I had learned something. A pack represented family, one that helps each other, never using threats to coerce other members to do things they don't want to do. She told me the pack needed their alpha to guide them, and jokingly accused me of becoming a blue blood. It was nice to pretend to be a royal for a short while, but it had led to a bad taste in my mouth. I certainly didn't want to turn into Mark. No, I preferred it here, with my pack, my family.